In this video, we are going to learn about the concepts related to exception. What is an exception? An exception is an event that occurs during the execution of the program that disturbs the normal flow of instructions. Let us see the frequently encountered exceptions. These are frequently encountered exception: null pointer exception, number format exception, index out of bound for array and string, and arithmetic exceptions. These are frequently encountered exceptions, and there are other exceptions also. First, let us see all these exceptions through code. If you see in this example, there is a class called as parent B. In this, we have declared S as a string and Y as an integer array. And in the main method, we have created an object for the parent class B. And we are trying to print p.s.length. What is p? This is p, reference variable to parent B dot s. Since this is only we have declared, okay, this is pointing to nothing. That is, it is not pointing to anything. So if you are going to run this program, an error will occur that is called as null pointer exception. Similarly, here y is an integer array which is not assigned to anything, but we have declared it. So if you are going to find the length of this array, actually it is not declared, it is only declared, it is not initialized with anything. Then an error will occur that is called as null pointer exception. So this is called as null pointer exception. Now we are going to see an example for number format exceptions. If you see here, s equal to 55, 55 is a string, okay, and we are converting the string into an integer using this syntax, okay. If we are going to run this program, we can clearly see it is converting into integer and displaying the data. Now what we are going to do is, instead of a number, we are going to type an string, that is, for example, Chella. Okay, if you are going to run this program, this can't be changed to a number, so an error will occur that is called as number format exception. Now we are going to learn about index out of bound exception. So if you see here, A is an integer array type, okay, which holds the value 1, 2, 3, 4. So the length of A is maximum, the index of A is 3. So if we are trying to access the index 8 of A, which is not present, so if we are going to run this program, an error exception will occur that is called as an array index out of bounds exceptions. Similarly, if you see here, string s is raw, so the maximum index of s is 2, but we are trying to access index 5 of s, which is not present, so an error will occur that is called as a string index out of bounds exception. Now let us see arithmetic exception. Here integer a equal to 5, b equal to 0, c equal to a divided by b. So if you are going to run this program, an error is occurring, arithmetic exception. Why? Because it is trying to divide by 0. So this is called as an arithmetic exception. Now let us learn the class hierarchy of exception. This is the class hierarchy of exception. Throwable is a parent class. Error and exception is a child class of throwable. Similarly, checked exception and unchecked exception is a child class of exception. What is unchecked exception? Unchecked exception means we did not check the code properly. Because of that, an exception has occurred. Example for that is number format exception, arithmetic exception, etc. What is a checked exception? Checked exception means the code is checked properly. Example for that is file not found exception. Here the code is correct, but the file is not found in that particular location. This is called as checked exception. Now let us see about error. Error is beyond the control of the programmer. Example, stack overflow and out of memory. These are two errors which is beyond the control of the programmer. Now let us see about exception handling. In Java, the exception is handled by the following keywords: try, catch, throw, finally, and throws. If you think that a particular code is going to make an error, that particular code is kept inside the try block. While executing, If this particular code is going to make any exception, that exception is catched by the catch block and is handled by the catch block. Let us see with an example. Here the code is kept inside this try block. While executing, if it is going to create an arithmetic exception, then it is catched by this catch block and this is handled by this catch block. If it is not going to create an arithmetic exception but other exception, then this catch is going to catch it and handle it. So this exception is a parent class exception. What does it mean is, if any exception which is a checked exception or unchecked exception is there, this can be handled by this catch block. If we do not know a specific exception, which exception is going to occur, then we can simply write exception E. So this will help you to catch that particular exception and to handle it. This is try and catch exception. This is the concept of try and catch. See about user defined exception and throw keyword. User defined exception means an exception is defined by an user. For example, if the age is less than 18, then it must throw an exception. So here we have created a class called user defined X, which is extending from exception parent class. If you see the code inside the try block, we can see there is a keyword called throw. What is the use of this throw keyword is, whenever the age is less than 18, this will throw our user defined exception. If the user defined exception is thrown, it is catched by the catch block and is handled by the catch block. So there are two important things to be noted here. Whenever you are going to create a user defined exception, it must extend from exception parent class. Second point is throw keyword. Throw keyword means is useful to throw the user defined exception, and this is a catch block to handle it. Let us run this program and check. When the age is less than 15, let us run this program. So we can see this is throwing user defined exception. This is going here and it's catched by the catch block. So inside catch, and it is writing E inside catch, and we are printing this one. So this is nothing but user defined exception. Let us learn about finally block. The finally block will be executed in all circumstances whether an exception occurs or not. So this block will be executed in all the circumstances. For example, we know that this will create an arithmetic exception. So if you are going to execute this program, we can see clearly the finally block is executed, then an exception is thrown. So we can clearly understand that the finally block will be executed in any circumstance. So this is the use of finally block. Finally, we are going to see about throws keyword. This is the throws keyword and it is saying arithmetic exception. Sometimes a method is capable of causing an exception that it does not handle. That means there's a possibility that the code will make an exception, but that exception is not handled by the called method. So we are alerting the caller of this method to guard themselves against this exception by writing a code which can handle it. So this is just an alert to the caller of this method. So this is a keyword throws, and it is alerting to the caller of this method that there is a possibility that an arithmetic exception can occur. This is a use of throws keyword.